Welcome to Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba with our special analyst. He is our NFL insider, George the Radman Radney. And towards the end of the program, he is going to make his picks for this week. This is a big-time week for the Buffalo Bills here in Western New York as they have the game of the week against the Baltimore Ravens. How you doing, George?
Hey, welcome, everybody. Glad to be back and glad to be a guest here on Pro Talk. And hey, let's get it on.
Big time excitement here. Hadn't been like this in a long time.
Yes, Media Day. My goodness, a lot of people there. Even the Baltimore media coming into Buffalo for Media Day. It's a buzz. It's a buzz around town as well. So, hey, this is shaping up to be a beautiful week here in Western New York.
One question I was hoping I wasn't in the Sean McDermott press conference, but don't you think somewhere along the line someone should ask, do you regret not selecting Lamar Jackson?
Really? No.
That was not asked.
That's not, and it's not.
They're asking him, how do you defense him? Well, he's a special player. Wasn't he a special player in 2018?
Right.
Why didn't you draft him? You didn't have to. You could have kept all 10 of your draft picks.
Right. Didn't even have to move anywhere.
Didn't have to move up. Didn't have to move down. All that stuff that you did, and you lost your left tackle. You moved up. You sent him to Cincinnati. You could have stayed pat with everything and drafted Lamar Jackson.
That simple.
That simple.
Wow. And then you notice you don't hear anybody asking,
No.
how come you didn't draft him? I mean, you're talking about 31 teams.
Everybody's asking. He's telling everybody, oh, he's a special player, how great he is. But, guy, you passed on him in the draft.
Right.
McDermott and Bean, you passed on him. He was there for the taking. You didn't have to give up anything. Could have kept all your draft picks.
Easily. And you could just but the problem is, you have to set an offense up. You got to set an offense up for any quarterback. So not only Lamar Jackson, you got to set something up for Josh Allen, which they did. So why wouldn't you take a guy that you could see was one of the cream of the crop, the top player in the draft, but and yet he's sitting there to 32nd overall? What that tells you about the league?
It's absolutely still based on there's some racial issues.
Tons of
still
racial
involved.
issues. And it tells you the owners have a lot to say about who's playing in the league. Not only we see it blatantly with the Colin Kaepernick situation, but you're seeing it now more and more as the rise of the black quarterback continues to rise. I mean, you're looking at black quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, he went to the championship game 2 years in a row, won the first one, beat Alabama, then lost to Alabama, and you mean to tell me he didn't have enough experience? You couldn't tell by watching him under pressure and winning a national championship that he wouldn't be a quality NFL player to be drafted in the top 3?
Right. And it goes down the list, and this includes, people need to realize, Doug Whaley.
Yeah.
Passed on some of these guys too.
Yeah, Doug Whaley too, right.
And I'm thinking that does there need to be a true change of thought process with how these guys really see black quarterbacks in this league?
I think it's not only how they see them, the thing that the owners are scared of and what's coming to pass now, finally you're seeing it come to pass. When Kaepernick played in 2013 in 2012 season, and they went to the Super Bowl, the 49ers against the Baltimore Ravens, they changed the rules right after that season, saying a quarterback could be hit. Previously, a quarterback could run down the line of scrimmage.
Right.
As long as he didn't cross the line of scrimmage and pitch the ball off or hand the ball off, you couldn't touch the quarterback. They changed that rule thinking that would stunt the growth of the black quarterback in the NFL. And what has happened is it done multiplied, it has blossomed them out. You're seeing black quarterbacks all. Heck, I saw a kid from Utah the other night playing. He a black quarterback throwing the ball deep, has a nice arm, looked pretty good. Now you're going to have a plethora of black quarterbacks coming into the NFL, and you just can't stop the growth. And the owners are sitting there. I know they're staying up all night long trying to figure out how can they do this, how can they keep the drop-back passer. Sad to say, the drop-back passer is a thing of the past because the defense is much quicker than the offense. It's hard to find offensive linemen now. Have you noticed that? Every team has trouble with their offensive line because there's not enough linemen out there. All the star players are playing defense.
Right. Absolutely.
Where's the Tony Basellis and where are the All those guys, the Montoya and those guys with the Bengals. Where are those great offensive linemen? You don't hear anybody talking about any offensive lineman, do you?
No, not much.
Who's the guarantee? Who they could usually by now you would say, well, he's a can't miss
guy,
future Hall of Famer.
Certainly not from Alabama. They get beat up there so bad by the time they get to the NFL, they really can't play anymore.
It really needs to be an investigation to look into the to what Nick Saban is doing down there in Alabama, because majority of his players come out of there hurt. They have all kinds of serious injuries. And the way he did the quarterback this year, that's going to be interesting to see. And if I'm a team like the Miami Dolphins, I would take a look at Cam Newton and also draft me a quarterback just to make sure I got me at least two viable options at quarterback for the future.
Now, you bring that up yesterday, Ron Rivera fired. How do you see that?
I see that as my son was telling me all along, with Dad, is they're going to fire him. The word was coming down that they're going to fire the head coach and get rid of Cam Newton. And I think part one, at the press conference, the owner said that he's clearing house in the front office.
And the general manager.
And the general manager is gone. He's clearing house. He's making a whole new change over there. And I think he's going to model where he came from. He came from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Absolutely.
He's going to model their system and hire guys that work similar to the Steelers and bring in those type of personnel people and also those type of football players. Because I think now Mike Tomlin is starting to get his just due with a 7-5 record, winning with a third-string quarterback, which is something that's unheard of in the NFL today. Normally, you wouldn't win a game with a third-string quarterback on your roster. But this man is finding a way to win. He has a pretty good defense. The guy is, people realizing now that remember a couple years ago they were talking about firing him?
Every year because of
AB,
every
Le'Veon Bell.
Every year they have talked about firing Mike Tomlin. Every year.
And look at the players they let go. They even let go. They let AB go. They let Le'Veon Bell, James Harrison. They know when to let these guys go.
Yes.
And they find. And what you find
they
with
always
the Steelers,
replace them.
They replace them with guys that fit their system.
Right.
They're looking at a system. They're not looking at just getting the best player. That's why a lot of these guys you never heard of from college, because they're role players. He's looking for system players, the whole organization. And I think Doug Whaley was doing that in Buffalo, bringing in system players. And that's how you win. You win with system players that fit your system, that fit your what you're trying to do. I mean, how many running backs they done went through? And they still got a competent running back.
Absolutely.
And they always have linemen. Now, they don't have trouble finding linemen.
They have no trouble.
Where do they get their linemen from?
They replace them every year. It seems when it's time to let a lineman go and you say, oh, wow, he's gone, that organization always seems to replace players. Now, the AFC is having somewhat of a down year as compared to, I think, the NFC.
Yes.
What did you see Monday outside of the great choreography of the Seattle Seahawks?
I see a team that hustles and they got to play hard every game because they're another team. They put pieces together. They brought DK Metcalf. I think Josh Gordon is going to be a very good asset for them down the stretch. They're playing very good football. They're not the most talented team, but they're very good team-oriented. And I think Russell Wilson is showing you why he is the MVP. Everybody's talking about the glitter and glitz of Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens. Russell Wilson is my MVP pick because this man, if you watch him, this guy is just steady. He is cool. He is so cool and calm and confident. And he goes on the sideline and talks to his guys, get those guys pepped up, and they end up making plays for him. He makes plays. His teammates make plays for him, and they believe in him. And that's what you're talking about. The MVP is someone that rallies the entire team together. And every week, this man has to pull a rabbit out of his hat. Every week. He's 9-1 with games under 5 points or less. I mean, you think about that. Every game not every game, but majority of the games have been 5 points or less.
Now, quiet as it's kept, there's only one team that has qualified for the playoffs. That's the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, Teddy Bridgewater should get a lot of credit for what he did in a relief role for Drew Brees. But the Saints are up on their nearest competitor is 5 games.
5 games.
They're 5 games up.
5 games up.
That's a scary thought for the rest of the league because this team will have an ability towards the end, once they can try to get home field advantage,
exactly,
to really be in a healthy position.
I think they can take anybody. In Minnesota, you remember Minnesota and New Orleans a few years ago. You look at the teams coming in there. Seattle, it's going to be difficult, but I really think New Orleans is on a mission. And what I've seen from Drew Brees since he's come back from the injury, I'm starting to see him starting to take a step back. Finally, I didn't see it last year. I didn't see it the year before, but this year, something about that injury and when he's coming back, he doesn't look as sharp. He doesn't have. You can see that age, Father Time, is starting to catch up with Drew Brees, and you notice it's starting to catch up with all those guys real fast.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers is ashamed of himself. I like Phillip Rivers, but he's an embarrassment on the football field as he is right now. Phillip Rivers is a good guy, a family guy, but I'm just talking about him as a football player, and he got to look at the film. He looks at the film each week. He's a complete embarrassment and should hurry up and retire and just retire at the end of the season. I thought he was going to retire last year because he wasn't he was bad last year. This year he's very bad. And you just got to retire because and he's the sign of the classic drop back passer. He has no speed. He can go side to side a little bit, but he can't. No mobility. You got to protect him in the pocket, and that's not where the game is today.
Philadelphia Eagles lose to the Miami Dolphins in Miami. A few weeks ago, we said that they were on the bus. Mm-hmm. It's over. They're
trying to get to wherever they want to go for the
Apparently,
winter
Brian
season.
Flores said, hey, y'all might not have jobs next year because I'll get rid of everybody.
Absolutely.
If y'all don't get this together and finish with some form of respectability. And they ended up beating the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia is still in it because the NFC East is pretty bad.
It's terrible this year. NFC East is bad news. All Dallas fans, all they counting on is Dallas making the playoffs and hoping and praying they can win these one-game playoffs. That's what Dallas fan is talking about because Dallas is quite mediocre. You can see they're not that good as well. Philly to lose to Miami says it all. Brian Flores is starting to out-coach other coaches too because he out-coached the Eagles completely in that game. He out-coached the Jets as well previously. So Brian Flores is showing that he's a good head coach. He has a good staff. And think about if you put somebody like a Cam Newton down there next year.
Right.
Man, you put Cam down there in Miami with the draft picks and the free agencies that they'll be able to bring guys in.
Absolutely. I think that is a serious possibility that Cam Newton could end up with the Miami Dolphins. Now,
one other spot for Cam I like too is the L.A. Chargers. If he get with Anthony Lynn,
that would be nice.
Offense that they have already, and bring Cam, and Cam is coming back to himself and being the quality player that he's that we know of that Cam Newton can be. I think if he goes to the Chargers, that would be a very dangerous offense over there as well.
Team that I think that has underachieved, Chicago Bears.
Yes.
It just seems like they have fallen off. Mitchell Trubisky this guy's not an NFL starter.
No, he's not. He's up and down. He's everywhere but being a classic starter. He was put in the position where the team moved up from number 3 to number 2. And remember, he was number 2 overall. I mean, he's just not showing anything like a number 2 overall. And quite frankly, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, he was number 7. He's not really a number 7 overall guy either.
Right.
Rosen, not really a number top pick. Josh Rosen. These guys, they drafted these mediocre quarterbacks and allow these quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes to sit there, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is just blowing it up.
Oh.
I mean, my gosh, how you let a guy go all the way to 32, and you got mediocre guys drafted and playing ahead of him?
Right, absolutely.
That says something about. That's to let you know that it's more the owners in it. Because I know good and well the pro player personnel people, they watching the game. They got you could eyeball the guy. All you got to do, you can eyeball it from the living room. But these guys go to the actual games and watch them in person. You mean to tell me they didn't think Lamar Jackson was better than those other quarterbacks in that draft class?
I absolutely agree. I think that a lot of these owners wanted a white, prototypical quarterback to be the face of their organization. I think the Buffalo Bills had post-Tyrod syndrome, and they were absolutely looking for the best prototypical quarterback that fit what they wanted to be the face of their organization, and they did not see that in Lamar Jackson.
No. And before the draft, too, remember several teams wanted to try Lamar Jackson out as a wide receiver.
Right.
Remember that?
Bill Polian was going around telling people he could not play the position of quarterback. This is supposed to be a superstar expert in the evaluation of talent in this league. But we got to start talking about next week. I want to talk one thing about the local team. Significant move the last 3 weeks is Brian Daboll to the coaching booth. How significant has that been in the offense?
I think that they're not talking about it here locally, but locally that has been the biggest move that I've seen. Moving Brian Daboll to the coaching box, allowing the quarterback Josh Allen to work with Ken Dorsey and also Matt Barkley, two quarterbacks who have played the game. Matt Barkley, the backup, Ken Dorsey, the quarterback coach, allowing him to hear their feedback. They're not sitting there cussing them out like Brian Daboll early in the season. All you saw was Daboll cussing him out and pointing at the screen saying, "What did you see, man?
What are you doing?"
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing, man? And I think now it's allowing Brian Daboll to see the field, see the entire field from upstairs.
Absolutely.
And being able to make calls that are now you see in his play calling. Even his play calling has gotten much better.
The play that he set up, that play where John Brown threw that touch, that is from him being in the coaching booth, being able to set the defense up for that play to work, and it's definitely been a change for the offense of the Buffalo Bills. Well, we're going to start talking about next week's games. You better get your pens and pencils out because the Rad Man is going to give you an ability that you can go out and probably be sporting.
That's right.
I'll say that.
Because I came off the top with the 49ers +7 last week, which ended up being +4 at kickoff time. 49ers covered that spread last week. So if you listen to me on that game, you won some money.
Dallas is our first game this week. They have to go to Chicago. Two underachieving teams and two coaches that could be in trouble. Garrett is definitely in trouble in Dallas. There's no question about that.
Right.
But Nagy, it's hard to coach in these big markets and not be successful.
It's very
hard. So he could be in trouble, too. How do you see that game?
Yeah, I think Nagy realizing that quarterback problem. They have a problem at quarterback. But the Dallas Cowboys, it's funny. The Jason Garrett is a reactionary quarterback. He's not a creative quarterback. He's not a trendsetter, and that's the biggest problem. Now, after the Bills game and after the New England game, they said that, well, you didn't go out on the field and practice in Dallas outside to prepare for New England. Now he's going to Chicago this week. Where did they practice at today? Outside.
There you go.
In 45-degree Dallas weather, he's going outside. Of course, you should be practicing outside. You're going to Chicago. The temperature is going to be in the 40s or probably in the 30s with high winds most likely tomorrow night. So Dallas, he's a reactionary type head coach, and that doesn't bode well for the future of the Dallas Cowboys. They need to find them a creative coach or just bring Jerry down out the box and Jerry just coach from the sidelines or something because they're either that or
that's what he wants to do.
That's what
anyway.
he wants to do anyway, and that's what he's doing basically with Jason Garrett. Everybody seems to know it. So make the change. I see the Cowboys winning the game tomorrow night because Trubisky will turn that ball over sometime tomorrow night.
We'll skip the hometown game until last. We'll move over to Washington at Green Bay.
Washington at Green Bay. Washington came up a big victory there in Carolina that got the coach fired. A 4th and goal at the 1-yard line. Your quarterback goes back 20 yards and fumbles the ball 20 yards. I think that was the final straw for Ron Rivera. Washington won't be so lucky at Green Bay. Green Bay will blow them out this week. Go with the Pack.
All right, Denver will be at Houston.
Denver going into Houston. Denver's playing good defense, good running game. Philip Lindsay, very good hard-nosed running back at Houston. Houston coming off the big win over New England. Take I almost said the Houston Oilers, the Houston Texans. Take the Houston Texans at home in this contest.
Big-time matchup in New Orleans, San Francisco at New Orleans. That's a big game.
That's a big game. And, boy, San Francisco has like 3-4 in a row. Because they play Seattle next week. So,
right.
So they're in a gauntlet of games. I really was impressed with Fred Warner, the linebacker. San Francisco at New Orleans. New Orleans is going to come out with a very physical game in that dome. I see Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not showing me as a clutch quarterback. I see New Orleans winning this game. New Orleans should cover the 3-point spread.
New Orleans should cover 3 points. Interesting.
Yes.
Now, an interesting game in Ohio. Cincinnati travels to Cleveland.
Cincinnati played to Cleveland. Cleveland's head coach, I hope he doesn't wear another T-shirt this week proclaiming that he's the king of Ohio or something like that, or the boss man or whatever. I hope he just go out there and coach this week. Cleveland will come out on top. The thing that concerns me is, for some reason, they still have not gotten Odell Beckham into the offense.
Right.
And we're here in week 15. I mean, what?
How do you not do that?
How do you not do that for the whole year? That, to me, that gets you fired right there. With all that talent and you're not using all that talent. But
he should be around 100 receptions. He's got 57.
That's crazy.
That's unacceptable.
Him and Landry should be dominating. And you got Kareem Hunt now. Throw some screen. I haven't seen too many screen passes and things like that, or dump offs. Kareem Hunt, isolate him on a linebacker. I mean, I thought they would use that against the Steelers. They didn't.
And you've got Nick Chubb.
You got Nick Chubb. Oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah, fire him right now, man.
That's what
Why is he still coaching?
There's too much talent on that team to be producing mediocrity. I just don't understand.
And Ron Rivera was fired. Ron Rivera was fired first.
Yeah.
This
guy's terrible.
He's terrible. But Cleveland should a terrible Cleveland coach team will beat the Cincinnati Bengals. They should cover the spread this week.
Carolina at Atlanta. Ron Rivera's out as coach, but our guy is the
Fuel.
interim coach, Perry Fuel, former interim coach of the Buffalo Bills.
And former interim coach of the New York Giants. Why is he an interim coach all the time? At the Giants. He was there for the end of the season with the New York Giants too. He did one game or 2 games.
Oh wow.
Yeah, when they fired their coach, before Shermer, he coached the last 2 games over there. So why does he have that label? Give him a chance for the real job. Let him see what he can do. That's for the Carolina Panthers. I see Atlanta winning that game and winning by 3 or more.
All right, Detroit travels to Minnesota.
Detroit at Minnesota. Big spread here, 14 points. Minnesota at home. Minnesota tends not to cover the big spreads for some reason. They kind of play down to their opponent. I see.
They played well in Seattle. Kirk Cousins is quietly having a better year.
Very good year.
I think that they just got beat by Russell Wilson.
Exactly.
I think Russell had a great game.
And keep in mind, people don't realize, it takes more than a year. This is his second year in that offense. Second year with those players. And after those players cussed him out early in the season, had a coming to Jesus meeting with Kirk Cousins. He's now throwing the ball to Diggs and those guys like he should have been from the start. And I see Minnesota romping over Detroit on Sunday.
We're going to skip down to some more important games so we can finish off with our local team. Okay. Kansas City at New England, big game.
Big game. Kansas City at New England. Kansas City best come out there and go hard on them. Don't ease up, because we know what the referees can do. They can call tripping penalties where you don't even see no tripping or no nothing no infractions there. It's weird how only in New England you see all kinds of penalties that's not, when you see the replay, you don't see the penalty. The Buffalo Bills know all about that up there in New England. So I like Kansas City coming with the upset at New England.
Seattle at the LA Rams.
Another good game. Another good divisional. That's a good divisional game there at the Coliseum. Probably be a lot of Seattle fans down there. I see Seattle pulling this game off because their defense. Clowney's playing very physical. He's playing better
very good
with
football.
Seattle than he was with Houston.
Absolutely.
I see Clowney and Russell Wilson in the Seattle team winning at LA against the Rams.
All right, let's go to the hometown team. The Buffalo Bills will be hosting the Baltimore Ravens. How do you see this game? Weather is supposed to be the best weather day of the week.
Yeah, well, it wasn't last Sunday when we had that serious storm.
Yeah, it was cold.
That was cold and snowy and rainy the whole day. Hopefully the game in the mid-40s weather-wise. The Bills' offense should be able to move the ball effectively. I see the Bills being able to run the ball. I also see Baltimore being able to run the ball as well. The passing game is going to be the key. If it's very windy and you only can throw in one direction, I think that's an advantage for the Bills. I think the Bills can hone her in on Lamar Jackson, be able to slow him down just enough that Buffalo would be able to come out with a field goal win. And I have a feeling our kicker will show up this week.
I did speak with Stephen Hauska today. He said he's feeling pretty good. That's what he told me.
He's feeling pretty good.
I wouldn't expect anything. What he did tell me before, when you had said he was possibly hurt, he said I was not right. Today he said, I'm feeling pretty good.
See, that tells you he's not right. There's something going on because you could tell he's not you can tell just how he's turning and kicking. That's not the Husker that we've seen here before. If you just watch him kick, you can see it's something wrong with him physically, and he's just not saying it. And he wants to keep. He got a contract, but he doesn't want anyone. These guys don't want anyone to take their job. And if I was the Bills, I'd take a look at Chase McClaney, who was their kicker, who's out with the 49ers. But the 49ers, Robbie Gould just came back. I don't know if they cut Chase McClaney yet, but if they do, I would bring him in to Buffalo right away.
One thing I think that's important in this game, Josh has really got to be cognizant of protecting the football. You've got Earl Thomas back there. You've got Marcus Peters back there. You got some real ball hawks in that defensive backfield for the Baltimore Ravens. He cannot make those mistakes with the football, and in a close game, it could hurt you. I've got the Bills by a field goal if they run the football right and they take care of the football.
That's the key. They must take care of the football. And I tell you, Earl Thomas and those guys, they don't mind. If Josh Allen doesn't slide properly, they will try and take it. His head will be coming off. They will come after him. They will lay him out. Those guys do not take no prisoners. So Josh Allen better have his slide game down, be able to get the ball to the running backs. Brian DeBoer, hopefully he'll call a very good game where they get a combination of mixing the run and the pass. And right now, I don't see anybody in the league being able to cover John Brown. John Brown's another guy that, man, he's having a great year.
Great year.
And he had a good year. His rookie year out at Arizona with the Arizona Cardinals, he was good there too.
Right.
But now I'm seeing this guy with his speed and how he can stop on a dime and cut so efficiently. This guy, he's a nightmare to cover.
He's able to adjust himself very well to Josh Allen passes, which are sometimes not in the great ball placement areas that are very important for receivers. John Brown has been able to do well, and we're now seeing Cole Beasley doing well
same thing.
also.
And they know now how to stop, catch the ball, and then get down because they know they're about to get their head taken off.
Well, we're down to our last few seconds. We're both picking the Bills by a field goal.
The Bills by a field goal, yeah.
Bills by a field goal. The Radman tells you that. Make sure on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. you tune in to 105.5 FM The Beat out of Rochester as we will be talking sports once again. Thank you for tuning in to Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba and our NFL insider, George the Radman Radney. We'll see you next week.